in 2021, you had a devastating situation. Can you explain what happened and what God brought you through?
Yeah, it's crazy how sometimes you're just coasting along. We'd been these two prairie kids from Canada who sold everything, hopped in our Jetta. Remember that, babe? We really did that.
I Believe me, I remember.
Selling CDs out of the trunk of our car and just chucking along because we were praying the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, not one day, but now. And we both just felt like, let's ditch the backup plans. Let's get out there. What we have to share is our songs. And so we started just singing our hearts out and always sold enough CDs to get to the next venue, which is saying a lot. Canada's big. So, there was something there. Ended up in Nashville, opened for the Newsboys, signed a record deal. It was like, oh my goodness, all our dreams coming true, better than we ever expected or imagined. And then fast forward a couple years, and Chris went outside during a massive thunderstorm in our neighborhood and to help some elderly neighbors escape their house that was flooding.
Yeah, it had been a storm all night, lightning, and our son couldn't sleep. So I was with him in his room, and all of a sudden I heard this noise, and it sounded like yelling. And so I went outside, and our entire neighborhood was underwater.
They were
And
sending
and
rescue boats
our
and
neighbors were under 3 feet of water. They were just standing
yeah.
on their porch. So I ran out there and helped them get to their car, which they had already moved. Just I didn't know, and we escaped. And we spent the night in Stephen Curtis Chapman's management office, which was up on higher ground. So thank you, Uncle Stephen.
Yeah, it was the beginning of what we didn't know at the time, 2 years of, we called ourselves purposeful wanderers. We had a purpose to share what God was doing, how God was sustaining us while living out of a suitcase and wandering from place to place. We totally ignorant of how long it takes in Nashville in 2021 at the end of a pandemic to put a home back together. And we hadn't budgeted or planned, right? We don't plan for disaster. We don't plan for tragedy, but we do plan to just be connected to God and figure out how to put one foot in front of the other and continue to show up for your life. So we lived out of suitcases and, with our two little kids, and eventually raised our house 5 feet off the ground, moved back in. It was our youngest son, Ziggy's birthday wish. I want my birthday party in my house. And so that was our prayer. And we got in a day ahead of his birthday. I don't think we had any idea how much a few feet of water completely destroys everything in its path. We came back and all of our neighbors in our community were already trying to help save our house. Our tour manager tour managed our house situation. We had no idea, when trauma hits, not sure what you've been through, Tom, Amy, and Sydney, or anyone listening, but when you actually hit that point of intense trauma, you're sort of just stunned. And we were standing in the middle of our kitchen. Our family's across the border in Canada. They cannot help us. And we're just standing there and didn't know what to do. And our friends that were real friends showed up without us asking and just started tearing our walls out and packing anything up into bins that they could save. And without that, we wouldn't have a house at all.
I was thinking about, the ruins. Some people cannot get over, and I'm not sure myself if my house was flooded. I mean, there are some things that I think I would mourn over the loss of them, pictures, items, CDs, certain books, things that my kids drew, memories, moments. How did you really get past the ruins into a place of victory, maybe is the word?
Through lament and grief, and allowing ourselves to take comfort in the fact that there's 3 books of the Bible completely dedicated to lament. And I think remembering that is such a big part of, like you mentioned, Tom, at the beginning, and Sydney, that program you're starting, those tough conversations, is remembering first and foremost that we are seen and there's room in the gospel for grief. We don't escape. Christianity is an escapism. We don't escape what we're going through. We bring it to God and we go through it, like it talks about in Thessalonians. So I think just starting there, letting our kids cry, letting ourselves cry, letting our prayers be groans when we didn't have anything else but a groan, and just sharing that with others who feel like, whoa, I'm supposed to be this perfect Christian. I show up on Sundays, or maybe your grief's taking you out. You can't show up on Sundays, right? just knowing you're not alone. And so us having the courage to go, we got to get on stage and tell our real story so people know we're real people. Because you don't become a Christian and stop being human, right? You just, the prayer changes from God, take me out of my situation, to God, take me through. And that just became our daily prayer.
So, Chris, is everything done, or is there like a honey-do list of things that still are happening at the house? Or are you guys real good, really in good shape, everything taken care of?
You know, Tom, I'm the least handy person on the planet. And so I left a lot of that to the contractors, but there were some things that were like, I think I can probably do that. Yeah. So the insulation under the house is almost done. I'm still picking fiberglass splinters out of my hand.
That's the job nobody wants to do, let me tell you.
Well,
nobody.
Yep. So here I am.
This musician life, it provides really busy, like we're about to go on a Christmas tour and basically bring Christmas to people all over and miss archery. But it also leaves you with this downtime where you're like, I guess I could do the insulation.
Yeah, I guess I could.
Well, thank you for not calling me to help with the insulation. I'm glad you were able to take care of that.